All right, so in this video, let's talk about labs. Yay, labs. I'm excited. I hope you are too, but you may not be. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do your first lab in this video. And I will start by, actually, hold on here. Hold on, everyone. I'll start by sharing my screen. Thought I was ready. I was not ready. Okay, so this will tell you everything you need to know about how to do your labs. And now I will share my screen. So the labs are probably the most important part of this class. You're going to be applying the skills that you learned from the week's book chapters and practice art that I give you and all that. And then you just apply that to a new context for the lab. So you'll start off in the homepage like everything else. You will go to your week that you're doing. We'll do week 1 here. And then this is all ordered in its chronological order for kind of how I suggest you can complete everything. So for week 1, you'll do your introduction and look at the slides, read the syllabus, all that good stuff. How to navigate the course, and then you'll get to the content. And so you'll read the chapters. For this one, we have chapters 1, 2, and 3 to get us started here. Then when you do that, you're ready for your mastery quiz. And that'll check your knowledge of key concepts. And remember, highest score goes to your grade. You have unlimited amounts of times to take the quiz, and you can take it, as long as you need to take it, as many times as you need to take it. It's not about regurgitating and memorization. It's just about checking whether or not you have the key concepts in your brain. You're aware of the key concepts. And if you get the questions wrong, then it tells you what the key concepts are. Okay, so then for this week, we'll do our, our download R, and we'll download RStudio. And be sure to watch this video that explains how to do this. And then when we have that down, we're ready to do our practice R. So every week, usually I have some practice R code for everyone. And so you'll go down to this practice section and you'll download your practice R code. Okay, so you download it, and then for Macs, I find you need to, you can't just click on it because it will open R. And we are using RStudio to run our code. So we don't want to have things open and running in R. R is weird and ugly, and nobody uses it. We use RStudio. So I do show in Finder, and this time it didn't work last time, but maybe I can get it to work this time. Okay, so I open Finder, I find the file, and then I click on RStudio because I found if I just click on the file, it'll open it in R, like I said. Okay, so great. We have our practice R code, and we see our beautiful 4 panes of magic and wonder. So this is our source pane where all the R code is going to be going. Then we have the console pane, and that is where you get a response from R. That's generally what the console pane is for. I'll show you a little more about that. Our environment pane, so where our objects are, we're going to have our data sets in the environment pane. We can see actually I have the height weight data set downloaded here already. You'll be downloading that, I believe, for this first lab. And then this packages / miscellaneous pane here, where we'll get our help on our functions, and we can download packages or look at packages in here as well. So we're going to be exploring kind of these different panes for our first lab, so we can get the idea of what's going on. So then I have all this R code, and it explains what, this is week 1, and I'm telling you kind of how everything is working here. We have these comments in green that are not the actual code. They're just me talking to you. And we signify the comments by these dollar sign or number signs. Okay, so then if we're gonna write code, you see that the code would be in black, and I could run that and get some. You see there, we got a response from R that said, okay, I ran question mark sum, and then it tells you, this is asking, hey, what does the function sum mean? R says, okay, what does the function sum mean? Here's your answer in the help pane. But there, that should be explained in one of the other videos. But okay, so then, okay, here's the section on getting help. And then you'll notice when you're doing your lab, there is a task on how do you get help? How do you find out help about this function? And so then you go, oh, okay, she's asking us how to find out how to use the help function to learn about other functions. I saw that in the practice R code. And so you'll say, I'm going to use that same code. And you can even, for a lot of it, you copy and paste. And then when you're going to do a new script file, you hit this, this figure up here, or you can do new file R script. And then you got your new file for your lab. And you'll say, you know, what task is it? I think whatever task 1, and start typing in your code. So on that note, and see here, you say, oh, this is how you make vectors, and you manipulate vectors, and you can do things to these vectors that you create, which are just a series of, it's a list of the same item, essentially, numbers in this case. It could be words or something else as well. Vectors are similar to variables. And so I kind of show you how, like, math, you can do math in R, and you can make a data frame, and oh, there's these errors if you don't have the right code, because this one is missing something, which it explains this in your book, how you would make a vector, and you can tell kind of what's missing from this one. And then I correct it for you. Okay, in any case, let's go back and let's actually open the materials that we need for the lab. So you click on this little button down here, and it has the practice R code that it's the same thing as before. I'm just reminding you. And it explains up here too, this is kind of just the general format that you'll use when you turn in the lab. You'll have your number and the lab number and the name up at the top, and there's some freebie points there just for grins. If you can use Monaco font, try to use that, because it'll make it easier for me to see the R code. But if you don't have it, don't worry about it. And then you'll have these written portions where you type out an answer sometimes. And then you'll have these sometimes non-written portions that just ask you to do something in R. And then I'll be able to tell that you did it by looking at your R code. So then a key part of all this is that you copy and paste your R code so that I can see what you did. I can see, I can give you partial points if maybe you got the answer wrong, but you kind of got the process more or less in the right direction. And then, yeah, for those ones that don't have the tasks that don't have a written portion, then I need the R code to see the answer to the task. So some people last semester forgot to do the R code part. They forgot to copy and paste the R code, and I couldn't give them 6 points for it. And if they made a mistake, I couldn't give them some points for maybe partially getting it right. So it's just in your best interest to put the R code in there. It makes it so much easier and so much better. And it just really improves your grade in a direct sense and an indirect sense. Okay, so let's download the instructions that tell us what to do for our lab. So I'll download lab 1 instructions and open that up. Move it over yonder. Okay, lab 1, same thing that I have up on that. Over here, too many things open. Description up here, it's the same. And then you get these tasks that tell you what you're going to do and get some points for each. Sometimes there's different amounts of tasks for different points. For task 1, you're going to download your R in your RStudio. because we'll be using it all semester. So there's no points associated with that, but we'll get all that up and running. And then you'll open RStudio. And if you're ever stuck, this stuff comes from the book. It comes from the Canvas page. There's materials out there to be had to help. Okay, so then in your lab upload, you're going to turn in this Word document. That's what the lab upload is. And so on that note, let's go back to the lab section, and you'll see this lab template. That's what I'm talking about, the lab upload. You can download the lab template, and it will give you kind of a general format for what we're going to be turning in. So number of, lab 1, your name, and then you notice task 1, we don't have a written portion for task 1. So I don't have a written portion in the lab template. Okay, so then, but I have task 2, you're going to get some points for task 2. So you open up your lab upload, and you have this task 2, and you're going to write your responses here. And so for task 2, we'll open up RStudio and we'll do a new R script. Okay, I already did a little bit of that. So we have this new file here, and it says, it says that you will put, your task 2, and then in the console pane, you're going to enter in this code that I have listed below. Okay, so you'll copy that code, and then you have to know, okay, I'm going to put it in the console pane and take out if there's a, bullet point like that, you don't want that. But you'll put it in your console pane, you'll hit enter, and you get this this description of what the mean is in R. So we're asking R for help, and your book will say kind of what all this stuff is as well. So be sure to read your book. But you're asking R for help, and then it's giving you this description, and that's what you put in for your first your task 2 on your lab. So you copy in the description, and you're gonna put that in there as your answer. And then you'll do the same thing for your print and put that in for task 2. So notice for task 2, we actually aren't doing any R code for that up in the source pane. We're just doing it in the console pane, which is essentially R telling you what it did, but also you can do temporary code in the console pane. So 1 plus 100 or 1000 something or another, I don't know, easy math there. And it'll give you an answer, but it doesn't save that R code because you don't really need it in the future. If you're like, hey, what's this percentage of this number? I just need a quick answer. Then you can put that temporary code in the console pane. The more permanent code that you want to be able to run multiple times and finesse and change and make better, you'll put up in the source pane. But I'll tell you kind of where to write all this. Okay, so that is task 2. You'll have your help for print as well that you'll put in there. And then for task 3, it says that there are all these packages here. And so for R uses a lot of packages. That's how you get specialty functions or specialty things that you can do in R. So you have to kind of be constantly downloading and activating all these different packages that R has. This is part of the power of R. So you'll click on these packages, and I want you to find a specific package. And I said, don't worry if it's overwhelming. There's, thousands and thousands and thousands of packages. It's okay. Nobody knows what they all are. We just find them and use them when we need them. So you don't need to be familiar with all of these. Don't worry. But I want you to find the psych package. And then when you find the psych package, read the description and just summarize in a sentence or so what the psych package is. So in this one, there's no R script for that, right? Because you're just doing it all on this web page and then typing it in your lab upload. Okay, so great. Then in task 4, we're making a vector and we're going to call it W. I don't know. It's arbitrary. You could call it literally anything you want. You could call it flapjack if you wanted. And it's going to contain these numbers. So now we're back into our R script because if I don't say put it in the console pane, just put it in the regular source pane. Most of the stuff is going to be in the source pane. So for here, we're going to have task 4. We're going to look at our book and our practice R code. So this is, again, one of those situations where you're thinking, oh, she's telling me to write some R code. I'm going to go check, do I have an explanation here on how to make a vector? Yes. Yes, making and manipulating vectors. Aha. Yeah. This is where you get your money's worth. So, oh, I know I'm making this vector here. I can probably do something similar. So I'll copy that and maybe paste it. No, I need to call it something different. I got to call it, what did she say? W, and then put in the numbers that you wanted to put in for this this R code or this lab. So you're taking those concepts and applying them to a different context. And then for this one, you're actually not really going to have a write-up because it's just going to be in the R script. Okay, and now the same thing for task 5. We're not going to have a write-up for task 5 either. You're going to load in a data file. So this will be the first time we load in this data file or a data file. And I put that in early because we're going to be doing this a lot. And it seemed to be something that people struggled with a little bit. So I just want to get us used to loading in data files right off the bat. So you will download the books.csv data set. And now you have it on your computer. Great. Then you're going to go and see, does she have something on, she's making a data frame. Okay, well, that's not quite right. Reading in a data set, that's what we're looking for. And I have this height weight data set for the example. Now for the example, not for the lab, that comes from when you do your practice. So normally you would go through the whole practice data or practice R, and you would be doing this, downloading a data set, the height weight data set in that. So let's download that data file as well. And you have it on your computer now. Once you have the file downloaded, then you can run this code. So you'll hit run. And I didn't move it from my download folder. So you can just go to the download folder, and I know it's called, what is the file called? It's called height_weight_data. So I'll just search for that in my giant, hideous, horrible, download folder that never gets emptied because I'm afraid to empty it. Downloads. Okay, there we go. And it looks like I downloaded it a few times, no matter, it's the same. And then, so we click on that data file and then we hit open. Now, if I search here, I'll see that data file. And I know what to search because this height_weight is what I named it in R. So I said, make an object called height_weight. And that object will be a data frame, which is from this Excel file. And so then I was like, okay, I can do that. You see here, it's like, yep, I can do that. And it just imported that Excel file into R as a data frame, which is a particular kind of R object. So that's how you'll do the, how you'll load in data sets. Now for the lab, I'll show you how to do it. So it's a bit of a freebie here to get us all started. So don't make it hard on yourself. Don't rewrite the code if you don't have to, right? You just copy it from the practice data file. And then, obviously you'll fill this in, you'll put in some numbers and stuff there. Then you'll do task 5 and enter in the code that I had before. But remember, I tell you to call it books, not height weight. So we'll say, okay, we're going to call it books. I'll copy that. And we're going to name this object, instead of height weight, we're going to name it books. We're saying, hey, download this other data file. And that data file is going to be called books, something else. So if I wanted to refer to both height weight and books in the same R script, I can do that interchangeably, no big deal. That's one of the beauties of R, is that you're not just working with one data file. You're working with all kinds of data files if you want. If you look over at my environment pane here with all my objects in here, I have just an ungodly amount of objects because I'm working on different projects that use R, but then they all have a bunch of different data files that I'm using. So as you become more sophisticated with your R and with your data analysis, then you'll start to add in additional objects. So, this one has a bunch of variables in it, and maybe I want to merge that data set with some other data set that's similar to it or something like that for a different project. We don't have to worry about that all right now. What we're doing is loading in this data file for our lab. So you'll do the exact same thing for your lab. I'm just showing you how to do it to resolve any confusion here. So we'll hit run. That will run that code, right? I click on the line with the code that I want to run, and I hit run, and it'll run that code for you. And then I go to, let's see, downloads, and I know I called it books.csv. So I'll search for that, books.csv. Oops, I have two keyboards and one's not hooked up so that I can have my light hooked up. Okay, so there's the download. I click on that and then I click open. Now, when I Google, again, it's just so pervasive in our culture. When I type in books, then you see this object that you made. So you have this books object here, and it imported it from Excel for you. And now we can do whatever we wanted to this data file. If we wanted to analyze it, we wanted to change one of the variables, or remove a participant or something like that. We can do all these cool manipulation things in R now that we have it in there. And so once you have finished the R code, then you will copy the R code. Just highlight all of it, copy it, and you'll put it in at the end. And that's why I want you to try to use Monaco font for this, because Monaco font, the way it's structured, makes the R code very easy to read. It's all lined up one on top of each other. If it's not an R code, that's okay. I can still read it. Don't worry, because some people don't have they don't have Monaco font. So it just sometimes gets a little weird. Actually, it looks like Times is okay. Yeah. Maybe it's not a big deal. I don't know. Sometimes it looks weird, but anyway, if you have Monaco, great. If you want to use a different font, you have a different font. That's fine too. Okay, then you will, save this, and you'll name it just for good measure. You'll name it Lab 1. And then go back to our Canvas page, scroll on down, and then you're ready to submit an assignment. And you should be able to upload Word docs, and then docx, I believe, as well. Hopefully, that's what it was last year. And it should be in my downloads actually, but you may have yours in your class folder, wherever else you want to put it. Oh, I just had it and then I lost it. You're a rock. Open. Submit assignment. Ah, well, let's make submit an assignment. That's cool. I mean, my student view. I wonder if I'll see that in my grader thing. Great. So that's doing your first lab. You'll just go through everything on the weeks module. You'll do the practice R code and then apply the practice R code and the materials from the book to your lab, and just read the instructions carefully to determine, oh, do I need to put in some R code, or do I need to just write something? It's not all the same. There may be different things that you're doing for different weeks. Sometimes we don't even use R at all. So if you have any questions though, don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you want me to check over your lab before you turn it in and get some feedback on how you could improve, that's fine too. I don't mind. My goal here is for you to learn. So if asking me for help is what you need, definitely do that. Don't hesitate to reach out. If you're confused about something, don't hesitate. All right, so there you go. There's your first lab. Let's see.